right, I'm going to tell you about the Office of Special Affairs, once called the Guardian's Office and Department 20. The church states that the OSA is responsible for directing legal affairs, doing public relations, and overseeing its social reform programs. Although I'm sure these statements are true, the OSA is also responsible for dead agenting, which I will explain later, and intelligence gathering. Our very own defected Scientologist, Tori Magoo, also known as Tori Christensen, has publicly stated that the OSA has hired private investigators, fabricated criminal charges, and harassed their targets, like Paulette Cooper. The OSA, then called the Guardian's Office, was the organization that supported and instigated Operation Snow White, which remains the single largest infiltration of the U.S. government, as noted in Tony Ortega's article, Double Crossed, from 1999. This project included a series of infiltrations and thefts from 136 government agencies, foreign embassies, and consulates, as well as private organizations critical of Scientology. The end result of this, carried out by church members in more than 30 countries. The end result of this was the indictment of only 11 people, including Ronald Lafayette Hubbard's own wife, Mary Sue Hubbard. The investigation of Operation Snow White led to the discovery of documents related to Operation Freakout, another of the OSA's operation. This was, and I quote, from a planning document recovered from the OSA dated April 1st, 1976. To get PC, that means Paulette Cooper, incarcerated in a mental institution or jail, or at least hit her so hard that she drops her tax, end quote. This is exhibit number 34 in the case regarding Paulette Cooper against Jane Kember and Morris Budlong, two OSA operatives also indicted in Operation Snow White. Although I could go on about these operations, I could tell you of the takeover of the Cult Awareness Network, or perhaps the OSA's interaction with the American Medical Association. I'd rather, however, that you do some research of the OSA on your own. I don't want you to take my words or the publicity statements from the cult without a grain of salt. So instead I will tell you about the technique of dead agenting. This is a tactic mainly used by the OSA. It is implemented by spreading malicious lies and/or rumors about the target, sometimes dreading up past altercations with the law, or information given in confidence during an auditing session. It is used to discredit the target and make them untrustworthy. Although this fact has been used more aggressively in the past, with the Cult Awareness Network and the FactNet, it was used against Ida Camburn, who reacted by writing to Congressman Leo J. Ryan. I have his response here. Congress of the United States, House of Representatives, December 10th, 1976. Dear Ida Camburn, thank you for your very detailed letter regarding Scientology. We haven't yet found a way to attack these jackals who feed on children and young adults who are too emotionally weak to stand by themselves when they reach the age of consent. It is too bad that there isn't a 20th century Charles Dickens to write about the terrible destruction of these 20th century faggots who make themselves rich while they destroy the psyche of so many. At the present time, I can only encourage you to do more of what you have been doing. Sincerely yours, Leo J. Ryan, Member of Congress. For those of you who don't know who Leo J. Ryan was, he was the person, the congressman, the first congressman to die in the line of duty. He was shot to death on November 18th, 1978 at Jonestown from the People's Temple. He'd done a lot of work with cults. All right, so Scientology's ex-spokesman, Mike Rinder, in order to deflect criticism about Scientology, described Jim Jones's People's Temple as a mainstream Christian church. After Leo J. Ryan's death, Ida posted a memorial for the congressman. It stated, in the Hemet, California newspaper, the prayer you had for Charles Dickens to expose the faggots of our time has been answered. He has the web pages on the internet. Rest in peace, our dear friend. This was in 1978. Continuing on, the best example I know of dead agenting is done by Scientologist Tommy Davis in the BBC documentary, the Panorama documentary, Scientology and Me. Please go watch this if you haven't yet. During one segment of this, Tommy Davis arrives at the site that John Sweeney, the reporter, and recently deceased Sean Lonsdale are meeting for an interview. Before even introducing himself, Tommy Davis opens a file and begins reading libel about Sean Lonsdale in an attempt to make him an unsuitable candidate for the documentary. Because of this incident and the following escalations, John Sweeney has become an avid critic of Scientology. Trust that I have only skimmed the surface with these. The last thing I have to say is the most recent head of the Office of Special Affairs is officially blown. That's right. Mike Rinder is no longer a Scientologist.
Woo! You can do it too!
I know that many of the anonymous knew about this a long time ago, but perhaps you folks in the org should be asking why you haven't been told. This entity that calls itself a church has infiltrated governments, harassed writers, and abused its legal rights. They have used tactics that are unbecoming of a church or any organization dedicated to helping people. Any citizen valuing free speech and civil conduct should think twice about this organization. Rest in peace, Sean Lonsdale. Woo! The end.
Thank you. Nicely done.